Even
Hello, Enrique. How are
fireworks,
you doing? Yes,
fireworks
this is the last session.
and
So just,
painting blowing. Wow, yeah. We're making the
yeah,
party out today, yeah.
it's
Hello,
the
Peter.
most
How are you
important session. So, hello, how are you doing today?
doing? Very good. Very excited to close the season today. We are streaming our last episode of the BIM Cafe first session. We are closing up the first BIM knowledge package. So I hope you guys already know or understand more about BIM.
And just guys, if you still don't know, BIM is about the information and visualization.
Fantastic, fantastic. I didn't wanted to say. I'll let you to give that speech. Fantastic. If I have one student who can make this
Well,
speech at the end of the season, I'm already happy.
but to be very honest, after all of the session, I still really start doubting about this information visualization. So we need to go back, I think, one day. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so what
Well,
we are preparing today, just I think this is we have the full sessions going for all of the other weeks. So just if somebody wishes to go back and try to look at the different aspects of the BIM implementation, the project plan, etc., go ahead and go to our YouTube channel. So just you will be able to see it. It's just pretty simple. Just you can get the really nitty gritty of it. Today we will try to close the all sessions, and we will be ready for during the vacation with some of the replays, and as well we will start in September with the new format, having guests coming to talk about the implementation. So we will see, and just also the new sessions, new format will depend on the feedback which you will get it from this one. So let's try to rock and roll. We have 27, 26 minutes to go through. So let's try to rock it and make it dynamic because the topic is pretty heavy today, man.
yeah. We're just gonna take an overview. We have this topic on the bucket list for a few days, just talking about how is the BIM situation actually. We talk a lot about BIM definition, processes, and so on, but how is the actual BIM situation on certain countries? So this is gonna be the main topic today to discuss in our last session. But first of all, we have the agenda, and you have all the topics we covered during the sessions. So please,
Ooh.
guys, go to our YouTube channel, follow the LinkedIn events, contact us. You can watch them again and learn through because they've been super awesome session. We are super funny teaching this, so I'm pretty sure we're gonna have a good time or at least laughing about it. And you can see also the improvement through the stages. No, now we are closing with fireworks. So I just want to say that. No? So imagine you remember on the first session.
Yeah, in fact, the first session was just really complete disaster. So I think we don't have it, I think,
Exactly,
fortunately.
exactly. Teaser will be coming soon. Yeah. So quickly recap the last one. Last time you will hear my voice repeating all these things all over and over. We discussed first things about BIM. Piotr said he's already going to have his certificate after today's session because he nailed the definition of BIM: building information modeling, visualization, and information. We put the information inside the project. We make an intelligent 3D object which has also information carried in built inside. Also, we discuss main actors of BIM: architects, facility managers, investors, and engineers, how they use it and the benefits they can get from BIM in terms of reducing the cost, saving time, and also incrementing the productivity on big projects. Remember also a good core sentence for BIM, apart from the visualization and information, the 3 C's: collaboration, communication, and coordination. 3 elements, they are a key for a successful BIM implementation. We need to make them happen and make them happen properly if we want to establish BIM within our industry or company. Next slide, talking about more benefits beyond the technical aspects. How it affects, on the sales or marketing. We discuss also the big libraries and how the manufacturers mainly focus on manufacturers, but also we can talk as a service or contractors, but focus on manufacturers, how to provide the BIM objects in a virtual way can lead to downloads and those converted into leads. So it's going to be a process focused on the marketing and sales, but the objective is that BIM bring you more leads. Of course, we are all talking here and working for body. Also, we discussed LOD, level of detail of the assignment and the dimensions as definitions in BIM, the maturity levels or the amount of information that are inside the models. And more lately, main implementation barriers we face when we want to go towards the BIM. I highlight the main ones where the lack of the BIM knowledge and a different understanding between the stakeholders and the technical team about what BIM can offer. So we are not sitting on the same table. We think there is a different concept. The first problem with BIM is that people don't really know what it is. That's why we are making these sessions, to make everyone aware about what it is. And also the BIM implementation plan. How do we want to draft this process, and the things we need to check within the within the business, within the staff as well, about the skills, if the business is prepared to adopt BIM and develop an implementation plan properly. And lastly, the last session, and I will take a sip of water after this long talk, will be the BIM workflow. We talked about the BIM workflow last week, how is working with this, eliminating the redesign phase, because we are focused on a data-driven design. We want to validate the data and check all the data before to run a design for construction, so the design is more efficient. We are shifting the efforts to the design phase, so all the coordination, time and mistakes they are making on a design phase, where the impact to reduce the cost of those potential errors, it will be higher. So we can really put much more effort at the beginning, but at the end, the outcome is going to be better. And we showcase the study of the Brandenburg Airport in Berlin, how bad it was in terms of delays, overcosts, and lack of coordination and functionalities. Remember this funny picture we also show? And also how this could be affected with the coordinated model or the federated model, where the coordination between services is the main element, and we can avoid all those silly or funny mistakes that happens on the construction sites. Oh,
Well, that's well. I think this is when you look at this, when we just started on the session one, what is BIM, etc. It really looks very simple and very straightforward, right? So just you have usually the opinion that the BIM is just another part of the process which you do, but when you look at the different aspects of it, it's really become pretty complex in the way how you will implement it. And of course, we're working with the small clients, which you don't need all of the different details which we show you on the screen. You can just go for the very simple version. So you just prepare the MIB object, you just publish it, and the engineers and the architects will use it. Or if you're an architect, you just only can get into the specific websites to see the catalog of objects, etc. So it's what we show and what Enrique showed on the last slides. It's really the full-fledged BIM process which you need to, if you have the complex company, will or really just go through all of the aspects. But again, take a small piece of it, just try to implement it, and we can help you as well just to determine which are the key aspects. And we had a great discussion with one of our colleagues. I like BIM, but how much money it will give us. What will be the benefits coming to me? Can I hire two? Do I prefer to hire the two new salesmen, or I just start to publishing the BIM objects on the website? So we can also try to help to determine the return on investment. What is better, what is less, and what is less important. I think it's really just case by case. One thing which is positive, Enrique, which I found really on this, we are really on the early stage of the whole transformation of
yes,
an industry.
definitely.
So that's really where we can just adapt it to everything. When in the next, I think, 5-10 years, most of the standards will be already in place, and then you will be talking about this today. By country, you will just need to follow the process, and that's it. You will not have this flexibility which we have today in some of the markets.
It's an
Okay.
important stage. It's an important stage for all the people who are now jumping into BIM or already jumping to that train, to know about that we need to really be on this process from the beginning, because otherwise, as you just said, the standards are going to reach in a high level of requirements, and maybe you are too far away or need to put too much effort of money to be on to date. Let's say so. That's the main issue.
Okay, let's go to the main one. I just mess around as usual with the graph, which is fantastic. Okay,
But
here we
yeah,
go.
we got it back. We got it back. Good. So all this is a good introduction period. So for the what we're going to talk today about the BIM situation worldwide, and we're going to check a bit of our situation on the world, few countries. The top is one, other one which is also on the track. So where companies are already need to be with BIM, where they need to already start implementing BIM on their processes, and what level of maturity, because everyone already knows the dimensions and level of detail. So we need to know more or less the minimum requirement for those countries. As you can see, this map is, of course, or no, the information is there, but it highlights a bit the countries, how are they developing. There is no government implementation mandatory worldwide still, or even on some countries. But as we said before, the earliest we jump into this train, the better it's going to be for the business. Let's take a look on the details. I'm gonna get sorry.
I'm surprised, Enrique, that you have not really touched Spain here. That's something you know. Okay, we will talk.
I highlighted the Spain after, no, because I took this image of the top pioneers. Unfortunately, my country is not on the list, but we are not surprised. We are not really on the top of any any technology development, so we are a bit used to this.
We'll change this. Okay, let's just change
Which
it for Spain
from
and for.
today, yeah,
I think this is okay.
good. First, the country we need to talk. We talk about BIM, at least in Europe. We need to talk about the United Kingdom. This is the country where the most standards are already developed, and it has a very high support from the government. If you guys remember, and also Peter, you remember from the few seasons ago when we discussed about the key elements for a successful implementation, one of the number one, I think it was compromise from the stakeholders, compromise for everyone in the company. If we translate this into into a country, the compromise is to come from the government. And here we have the support, high support from the government, because since 2016, BIM Level 2 is mandatory on all public projects. I highlighted below BIM Level 2, the maturity Level 2, how they call it in the United Kingdom. We're talking about dimension 4, 5D. If we remember about the last session, 4, 5D dimension, we are putting the models with the information, and we are adding the coordination, the time, the cost, the coordination of services. So this is the further step of making things in 3D. We are not just making 3D, we are making 3D with information, and we are coordinating between all of them. So I'm not just making my doors and I forget about the walls, I forget about the roof of the house, I forget about the furniture. We are all collaborating, so everything matches and the colors are nice and so on. It's put in a housing
Yeah.
example.
And it's interesting to see because really just, as we can see really coming on the market and when we just work with the different clients, we see the really big influence in the different processes coming from the UK for the different local markets. So some of the processes are really just, adopted and some of the companies are pushing their solutions into the country which are less mature in the beam. So
Mhm.
we need to watch it as well because that's some of the regulations are completely different and UK, of course, is leading the group, but I think some of the requirements can be really different by country. So we need to
Yeah,
look.
definitely. Of course, when we're talking about requirement, it's important. You guys watch the session 7 or 8 where we talk about the dimensions because these are going to be the level of requirements. We're talking about how much BIM, how much information we want to process, and this is important that the UK is asking level 2. Some countries are going to ask level 1 or 2 or 3D. No? So this is important to have an understanding of BIM because otherwise the requirements for you they're going to sound pretty ambiguous or not clear.
Mhm. I'm just looking at the. Go ahead to the next slide. I'm just
Mhm.
looking in terms of the time. We have the 9 countries and we have like a 10 minutes to go. Okay,
Here we
so
go. We go. So
uh,
silver medal for me also one of the top pioneers countries of global leadership implementation, the whole Scandinavia. I gather them on this from Norway, Sweden, Finland, and also Denmark. They really are top countries and pioneers on this implementation. BIM is mandatory on all the public projects all across those 4 countries. They have a low implementation and support from the government since the beginning of the century. For example, Finland implemented 2002 and made mandatory 2007. We can see on the next slide, BIM Sweden adopted a bit earlier, but they are already working with promotions from the government side of promoting BIM in the 90s. This is before even I was born. So Denmark also early century, and I saw this nice statistic here: 50% of the AC sector they use BIM today, and this is a very high level of usage all across the country, mandatory since 2007. I find in Norway at the end of 2009 and using the IFC as a mandatory requirement for the public project. Remember, what we talk about IFC is the industry foundation classes. Those are the open BIM format. They were created by Building Smart, but they are incorporated into the business. So let's say this is the TXT text file for transfer information. If we want to open an IFC format, we can do it in Revit, we can do it in Archicad, we can do it in Rhinoceros, we can do it on any software, or at least it should be like that. This is what is called the open format. So when we are, I understand the government cannot push to use Revit, to use Archicad, to use this way, that way. They leave it open, or they focus on the IFC, which is the open BIM format.
very smart. Yeah, no, I think they're really
Fantastic.
yes, magnifique.
Magnifique. Let's go for La France. In France, the implementation is a bit slower. We keep in Europe, but it's a bit slower than in other countries like we saw in Scandinavia or the UK. But still, there is things going on. Since 2014, I saw they implemented a €500,000 project designed only to build houses as a test pilot of BIM, how it will work. So they destinate this amount of money to build only with BIM of the housing construction, and they have this €20 million fund also invested to digitalize the construction industry, which for me is also a definition of BIM, digitalizing the construction industry, and BIM, they are linked. It's a methodology that is going to help BIM, the construction industry, to be on today's technologies needs. So it's important to invest on that as well. And lately, I saw some reports. BIM was mandatory since this year. 2022 was the year where they started to ask for BIM in some of the public projects. Very good. We'll go for the next country.
We're very good in France, so I'm not surprised.
We go display here Germany and Spain. I gathered them in one slide because they have less level implementation. We'll go from the top to the lowest in Europe. And there's a few highlights of the sentence. Of course, we remember last episode the disaster of Brandenburger Airport and how the things were settled of, okay, guys, this cannot happen anymore, and we need to make something happen. So 2020 was the deadline for the German government to start all the BIM implementation in public projects. They don't have a full development of BIM requirements on all the public tenders. They are doing them step by stage. But since 2017, when they saw the Brandenburg Airport was becoming a black hole, they start to taste this on some railway projects, some construction bridges. For example, I saw in mostly in roads and transportation. And the beginning of this latest decade, they started to ask for BIM in the public projects. I'm going to Spain, my dear Spain. There is I highlight a couple of notes interesting about the BIM implementation. There is a commission. It was created in 2015, so pretty reasonable, long time ago. It's called SBIM, to promote, gather all the events, coordination about BIM, and make this a state matter. Let's say a state reason, a state matter solution. We need to we need to work on it. And it was required since 2018. This was because of European regulation that asking for future contracts, they need to ask for a certain level, the minimum level of BIM on some public tenders. And I read also since 2019 this extended to the whole public tender. So if I'm not mistaken, 2019 was the day since the one BIM was implemented in Spain for public tender projects. And also, I read also many news that in some regions like Catalonia, for example, they are more advanced developed on the technology, so they require for the local government of Catalonia and some cities, like for example in Barcelona, I'm sure there's so many construction projects going on, and BIM is a higher level of requirement than the rest of the country. So we can see how the country is evolving, more in some sides or the other, but everything is moving towards this BIM implementation. Good. I think we change continent. We go.
Very small. It's just, but this is pretty representative for the development in Asia.
Exactly. That's why I picked this country. There was also information about China, but many countries, big countries, sorry, as China and the US as well, it's very complicated to have full government deployment laws about BIM. So they don't have full implementation in the whole China. They will have it in regions, they will have it in cities, in regencies, but not the whole country. That's why I focus more on the ones which has concrete and global BIM implementation mandatory requirements. For example, Singapore, a small country, yes, but the construction there is massive. It's one of the places with the highest price per meter square, if I'm not mistaken, after some cities in the US like San Francisco or LA. And we can see there how the government put a budget of $250 million Singaporean dollars for the BIM implementation. And this is important here. I highlighted the last point. All the projects higher than 5,000 meters square should use BIM. This is a common requirement that we will see across many countries and coming in slower stages as the BIM is being implemented. The requirements are going to start first for the size of this amount of money, and slowly we get it down until they are implemented or required on all the different projects. Remember the 3 C's. I say it again: coordination, collaboration, communication. BIM is being used, has been created, this methodology, to work together. work together means create bigger things. Bigger things are big projects in surface or in budget. So it's more logic that we are starting putting BIM implementation mandatory on the bigger project where the level of coordination, communication, and also collaboration is higher. Next one, we do a bit of a mix here, Middle East and Australia. The United Arab Emirates, UAE, is also the big country on the region who has big implementation, and all the fancy buildings you guys can see in Google or the photos about the skyline of Dubai and all the Emirates there. They have been built. They have been built with BIM for sure. Now we have the same uncommon sentence that's in Singapore. It's mandatory for the project which has more than 40 stage floor, 300,000 meters square. Or also you can see in places like in Australia where it's above $50 million projects. So working with those caps, surface, money, or expansion is where BIM is going to be implemented, and they aim for the high because the impact and the benefits is going to be bigger. As bigger is going to be the project.
Yeah, no, I think this is also driven by the fast development in the United Emirates, right? So I think that they really just grow very fast, so they need to keep control over some of the part because the risk of the problems like in Berlin and some other cities was really high. So I think they really just put it because of the fast development. Yeah. I'm surprised about the Australia though, because I never thought that they're really go for this part. But maybe this is the link with the UK as well, because they
That's what I was about to say. What I read on this research to prepare today's presentation was that the relationship they have within the Commonwealth state, Australia, New Zealand as well, and the UK, the big brother, the UK has been luring them and pushing them to use more and more BIM. So this is why it's coming a bit later, but it's also coming to the public tenders as we saw here since 2016. Also, federal states they have harder implementation. We will see now on our last slide about the US. Because the country is so big, there is so many level of leadership going across that having a whole country-wise regulation is more complicated. That's why here when we talk about the United States, for example, there is a BIM program. The US government established a BIM program.
Okay, so we lost Enrique, I think, for the second. So that's, I think, in terms of the US, we saw it. We will just come back in a second with Enrique. He will just come in a second, so no worries about that. The technical problem always happen in this kind of things, so it's okay, no worries.
Hello, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you. Okay, sorry
Okay,
for.
good. It's okay.
But you can see it. It's a live streaming session, so
This is
it's.
live, right? This is live. We need to manage it. Before on the first session, I was panicking. After this, now I'm just okay. One more. Yeah?
Okay, I'm just
So
switching it back to the US one. Yeah.
good. So sorry for that, but as I said, harder implementation on wider countries where they have federal states on more level of government there. But for example, we take a look on the US. There is no really federal legislation, but some states they are investing and they are putting some requirements in what I said before: money, public works, or largest construction as a cap. Okay, you want to do something above this money in budget, above this money in square meter or square feet, you need to use BIM. California, Wisconsin, some places in Texas, and also in New York City, they're implementing this. It's not country-wise yet, but this is happening. Remember, more sort of that United States has been working with BIM developments is very early stages, but the country is so wide, the industry is also immense that, of course, for deployment it will take more time. But they have also, for the size, take a good amount of implementation.
I think this is also very pragmatic country, right? So I think they will just,
Yeah.
as we having some in Europe, there is some state regulation, but there it's more like, what's my return on investment? If I will just put in processes, how much money I will save it, or how much money more I will get it on the project. So I think that's really very pragmatic for you.
Good. So that was all for the big scope of the BIM world situation. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It took a long research. As a conclusion here, I would like to say what Piotr discussed before. Is the moment. We are still in time to jump into this. in a few years' time, who knows if the European Union, to make it a wider scale, or the United States, or places in America, or whether countries like China, they want to develop countrywide BIM implementation or requirements, where it makes very hard or nearly impossible to some people who have zero level of BIM implementation to be able to be participant on the construction industry. So now is the moment to start investing. Now is the moment to start learning. So when this come by law, when they are forcing us to take this, we know about what they're talking about at least, right? We already know what is big. We already know the requirement. Okay, it's level 2, it's level 1, it's 4D, it's LOD 500. We know some stuff about the BIM workflow, and we are more ready to face this challenge, because this is going to come. I was discussing this with a friend the other day who asked me, okay, Enrique, so what do you do? What do you do? And I explained them about BIM, about the business and implementation and digitalization of the construction industry, and they still don't really get it. They say, wow, this is why this may not happen. So, well, I can explain to you, but you will see by the time that this is going to be like that.
No, I think it's a good bet really just to play, and that's what we explain with Enrique during our sessions. You do not need to go for just for having everything already in your company or in your business. You just try to think what will make sense. Don't make me such a big person. Okay, thank you. You can think what will be just beneficial for you really in terms of the preparation. Depends on the size of the company, depends on the market, depends which side of the value chain you're sitting. Many what if questions, but do not be scared. I think you need to really start it, and thanks to the webinars and to our work, we have a couple of the guys who already start thinking about it. And I think there is no one good way to go, right? There are so many
Yeah,
paths to implement
definitely.
it. But the most important is really start thinking about it. Include in your budget for the next year the small amount of money to prepare the first couple of objects, or if you're just the design boutique, you need just to start to teaching people how to use the different objects around the world. It just get some tractions, and you will see it will start paying off very quickly, because we see also the very potential improvements in terms of the productivity, in terms of the then one of the key elements which I really found is so fantastic is really just to understand if there is a new regulations coming in terms of the fire, in terms of acoustics, in terms of the water resistance. You can just pull it up out of the data immediately. You don't need to go and just call the people saying, hey, can you just send me the updates of these things, etc. That's something which really saves you a lot of time when you pull this data automatically from the information which is coming with the objects.
Yeah. What Pierre is saying, use BIM as a city common data environment, also a data share standardized way to work in a project on the common language. Let's put
Can I
use
try
the
to
vocabulary.
translate?
We're
I try
using the
to
vocabulary
translate.
we learn with us.
I try to translate for the simple language. Okay, I don't understand all of these things, so it's normal.
Good.
Enrique, thank you very much for the session. So I think this is it.
Just closing here, and few words after finishing. Remember, everyone, we can watch this episode, all of them, during the summer break, whenever you want, at the beach, on the mountain, or your house, in our YouTube channel. They are all there. They're going to be streaming in live, and they store there all the session. There's also new content. You can email us or text us in LinkedIn to get access to that content, and what to spend if you want to book a free consultation with us to discuss about the BIM and make it happen in your business, in your end. Please do it using our calendar tool. The links are in the description. They are everywhere. I think there is no place in the internet where the link is not, so you don't find it. It's not really impossible, but you can directly access to our agendas and book an appointment with us. Very easy, free of charge. We can just discuss about your BIM situation. And lately, just say thank you to everyone. Things we want to come next and discuss on the next session. Implementing more languages in this webinar: French, Espanol, Francais, Deutsch, also Polish. Please fill the survey. We have surveys in our profiles. You can choose the languages if they are we feel more confident with, and we can run these webinars also in other languages.
So you guys, we are getting very popular right now. In fact, Enrique is getting very popular. 77 votes about
this
which
morning.
language you need to publish the information. So I think English is winning, but The question was in English. Okay, so just we will just right now publish the same question in French and the same question
Exactly.
in Spanish and Polish, and we will see what will be the
The next one.
information. Guys,
I put English because otherwise people will say, I want English. Why is not on the option? We need to state properly that English is already done and we want to do more stuff. So please, you can contact us if there is something else you want to know, questions, you want to participate in the new season, as we said, new things are coming. So you got our LinkedIn profile somewhere there. And just please reach us to know what you want to do. Thank you so much, everyone, for the
Enrique, thank you
awesome
very much
session.
for educating me. Thank you for educating me. This is really good, and I promise I will just not watch the Netflix over the vacation. I will watch our. I will repeatedly like to look at
Exactly,
our.
exactly. You can put the postcard before you go sleep, and otherwise, they're gonna be keep daily, weekly streamings of our episode of this season during the summertime in YouTube and LinkedIn. So you guys are gonna be spammed by us. Don't worry, you won't miss us.
Yeah, we will. Enrique, thank you very much. Thank you guys for joining us, and just see you very soon. And just new season will come up as well to the link on LinkedIn and the YouTube. Thanks a lot,
Thank you so much,
guys. Have a
guys.
great day.
Bye.
Good Friday.